Here.
Mrs. Hanson.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Mortensen.
Here.
Mr. Tavellini.
Here.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Here.
Mr. Chart.
Here. We do have a quorum. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. So moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, celebrations. Mrs. Cody.
I do have a few. So first, of course, we had our first week of school. Everything went smoothly. Including we went to school all 4 days, which was spectacular and an improvement from last year. If you recall the big rain that we had the evening of the first day of school in 2024. Another celebration is the Beat Digger Leadership Academy. A thank you to Mrs. Garrett and Mr. Miller for attending and sharing their story. There is a link to the video in my superintendent's report. Feedback from that evening from participants was that the Beat Digger Academy was a very helpful opportunity for them to learn more about what it means to be a board member and the steps to become a board member. So currently we have 5 petitions picked up. So we're in a good spot. Another celebration, Falcon Aero Lab, the homeschool strand, met for the entire week last week, all day. Ended with this picture that you can see right here where they were flying their airplanes. So appreciated the work that's going into that. They will now move into meeting every Tuesday here in the boardroom. Then the public school strand of Falcon Air Lab will begin on Fridays starting in September. It will be 1 Friday a month. So that will be coming soon.
Marcia, are we gonna offer that to only in-district kids, or I guess?
The public school piece, yes,
Okay.
only in district.
Okay.
The homeschool, of course, any homeschool family can still register to be a part of it. They just need to make sure they contact our district office and so that we can get them registered.
Okay.
They have to register for that.
Thank you.
Right, the next one is 3 board members, Mr. Wincheimer, Mr. Miller, Dr. Chart, and myself, went to the Pawnee Power Plant, and it was very informative. It was very interesting. I learned a lot, asked some questions, so appreciated that Excel inviting us, and they fed us, and were open to us asking questions, so it was a good learning experience, I can say for myself. And appreciated the board members coming and attending that as well. The next piece is, this is our 25-26 staff alumni picture. So look at that. What a legacy and what a tradition. That's how many alumni members you have working for our school district. Pretty spectacular. So that's all I have.
I'll just add the Booster Club kickoff was, I think, probably the first big event in the secondary campus of the year, and I attended, and it was well attended and appeared to be well managed. And there was a lot of student engagement and great kickball competition or dodgeball competition. So that was really good to see that start off. So, anyone else have anything to share? Next item of business would be 5.1 board reports. Are there any, probably pretty early for any other board reports? Haven't started back.
Not yet, not till September 10th. Would you like to share on the CASB region?
Yeah. So I was at the night of the Beat Digger Leadership Academy. I attended the regional CASB meeting. the first thing they talked about was the adequacy study, which is, can you maybe explain more about what the adequacy study is?
It's about adequate funding. So there was legislation that provided some funding to do an adequacy study for the state of Colorado to determine what would be appropriate funding.
And there's basically two studies as far as I know. They both obviously proved or determined the outcome of that study was that we're short on funding. The numbers that have been talked about are between $4,500 and $10,000 per student short on being able to provide an adequate education to meet and be aligned with goals, state goals that have been established for kids. This is exacerbated by ELL students and students with disabilities, which, as we know, we have a high percentage in brush. So adequacy study agrees with what we're seeing here. Also talked about delegate assembly. On September 6th, the delegate assembly is where each district can send a delegate. They work on resolutions and vote on what resolutions they'd like CASB to take to legislation. Those resolutions are proposed earlier in the year. I don't know how early, early summer I would say, or spring. And then another group with CASB called LRC, which is a Legislative Resolutions Committee, takes all of those submissions and decides which ones to put forth to the delegate body. LRC has, I think, one member per region. Does that sound right?
That sounds right, but don't quote me. It's been a minute.
So there's one member. You can, I think any board member can go apply for it, and I think the CASB president appoints one board member from each region to go on LRC. So LRC is pretty important and has honestly a lot of impact. It's something that one of us should probably consider engaging in the future. The other thing LRC does is they meet for legislative sessions and dialogue directly with legislators and lobbyists on things that are important to education. There was a legislative update. They talked about the possibility of this funding rescission that nobody knows how that's going to impact us yet. Could have a major impact on our budget. Marcia and Keith are aware of that and are working on that, getting ahead of that already. A lot of the legislative priorities that group talked about was that the CASB's focused on local control, pushing back against unfunded mandates. The only solution that I heard come out of that whole group that I felt like would be meaningful impact towards school funding is if we can get the school budget out of the general fund in the state. So have it in it as its own fund, separate from the general fund. Don't know if that'll ever happen. Talked about some tax reform possibilities. I do think that's probably something that is going to get some attention, and what I'm hearing are things like business owners are taxed at a property tax rate of 27-ish%, and I think property tax on private residences are 6%. So businesses and ag are shouldering the burden of the property tax and maybe trying to even that out a little bit, which won't probably mean dropping business property tax. That'll just mean raising residential probably.
May I add something, President
Yeah.
Chard? So Case sent out an update at the end of last week about this cut, which originally was slated to be $1.2 billion, which now is at $900 million. And they stated that right now they think K-12 will be untouched, but again, Mr. Yake and I are continuing to make plans for rescissions. There's a strong possibility that even if K-12 is left untouched right now, there's another set of cuts coming that's slated to be over $700 million the next fiscal year. So it's just something we have to be mindful of. They say currently the 3 ways they're planning on cutting it was, as President Chard said, cutting those corporate tax loopholes to raise revenue is one. Use 2% of state reserve funding, totaling about $300 million, and make about $300 million in cuts to spending that was previously approved by the legislature. Don't know what those previously approved action items were. Just thought I would pass that
And the only other legislative thing I think that was talked about much at all is House Bill 25-1278. And that's an education accountability bill that will change the performance frameworks that we're currently using. I don't know what that's gonna look like. That it also will impact how those school performance data will be reported to the public. So probably will come across our plates at some point. They talked about some PD opportunities. CASB's producing some boardsmanship videos and a podcast that we could use for board training in the future. And I think that's about all I had on that. Any other board reports?
Finance committee was Friday. I'm not gonna steal all of Keith's thunder, because he's got a report for us. From my perspective as treasurer, obviously, in the new fiscal year, another big jump in that operating statement, and getting it correct, right? So starting to see that, and that's the piece that is kind of like what we've been seeking for a long time, that gives us a snapshot on a monthly basis picture of the finance of the district in correlation to the budget that we approved as a board. I would say that my made up number was at the end of the last fiscal year, that operating statement was probably what, 50 to 60% kind of dialed in. I would say it's at 95 now, right? New fiscal year, some things that we're learning through the budgeting process and different things, but there's still some one-offs and some nuances in there, but it's continues to improve and get better, and have a lot of confidence that once we get through another cycle in all of this, I mean, he can't redo this every 2 weeks. I mean, this whole process, it's been a tremendous amount of work, and everybody needs to understand that. He's gonna take his eyes off of it and work on some other stuff, and then come back to it, and very confident that the next cycle in this, once we go through revised budget, make some of those changes, some of those things we've learned, that this is gonna become if not completely clean, very, very close to clean operating statement, which will be a huge benefit, in my opinion, to the board and how it views, understands, and monitors finances within the district. It's my biggest takeaway with the finance committee. Continues to be some new things learned, not time to talk about them here and now, but all the mountains have not been climbed, but we're getting there, and can proudly report to this board that Keith and Marcia and everybody continues to make tremendous strides, getting us where we need to be.
Anybody else? Next item of business, financial report.
Thanks for the nice words. So about that operating statement, let me tell you a story. So I went to run it this morning, but what I gave you last week was off. So I had to go in this morning, spend half the morning redoing it again. We're getting there, on my report I gave you guys, did you guys all get the report? Do you guys have any questions on it initially? If not, I was just kind of breeze through it just for brevity tonight. A couple things real quick here, just on the cash report, just how to read it. I just want to make sure I put it just so you guys understand. All the funds are going to be reconciled by the time I give it to you. The two that are kind of weird are the two at the clear top of the cash report, and it's going to be your two general fund reports. One of them's a sweep account and one of them's a regular account. The regular account only has $100,000 in it. So a lot of the time when I reconcile that, it's going to show a negative number, but we're not actually negative cash. It's just outstanding checks or whatever that might be towards the end of the month. And then the sweep account would be whatever. So you just need to net those two together to get your true cash. I just want to make sure that was clear. The other thing on the operating statement is it's like your books are like a story, and it's painting a good picture here of what our general fund is. Our general fund, in essence, is looking to lose around $12 million in fund balance this year. That's primarily due to the $8 million transfer and the $4 million transfer to the capital reserve funds and the insurance funds to pay for those proceeds. If you look at the operating statement, it'll show around $21 million in expenditures, but if you look at it, it's only going to show about $9 million in revenues. What that is I have to record those transfers to the other funds as basically even though they're kind of expenditures, they're contra liabilities. So they have to go on the book as like a negative revenue. I don't know what happened. There was a bunch of guys that sat around years and years ago and decided with GAAP, this is the way it was gonna be. So anyways, so when you look at it, it's gonna show around $9 million in net revenues. If you were to take those transfers out, it's 21 million. So that's where we're at with that. It paints the picture though of showing that 9 million in revenue and 21 million in expense shows a negative loss of around 12 million, which is about what we're looking to do. So I just want to point that piece out to you guys as well. Budget upload issue, just had a lot of work. Had about 14 hours last few days, had about 2 or 3 more today working on the operating statement. 95, 98, I think this morning, I'm off less than $100 last time I checked, so I'm getting close. I don't know how much, in November, we're gonna have to come back, we're gonna have to do a thorough review of salary and benefits. People came and gone, people's salaries have been adjusted, benefits need to be moved around accordingly. I went off last year's contracts and there was people that moved from building to building, things like that. So to make it truly accurate and to align with what payroll's actually done, I'm gonna have to do a big analysis of contracts. And again, that's something we'll do in November when we get head counted and all that stuff. So hopefully, like Bryson said so eloquently, hopefully come November, December, we bring you guys a good kind of final budget and you guys can really look at those. In the meantime, it should be relatively close, especially the bottom line. If you look at the bottom line numbers, they should be pretty good. Activity funds, we consolidated around 65 funds between the 4 buildings. This is through that process we talked about of moving things out, just basically keeping the student fees and the gate fees over here and making the classroom fees in the general fund, making all of the fundraisers and donations for their intended purpose in the activity funds. So we've really cleaned that up. We've really lightened the load on the secretaries over there. I've gotten a few questions on the 4 signature line item. Few people have liked it. I've had a couple people that didn't like it so much. It's one of the things where people are just gonna have to plan ahead and make sure it's good for financial integrity and it's good for accountability and to make sure that we're going through the processes appropriately and checks and balances. So we'll continue doing those and making sure that we probably had 15, 20 come through and so far successful. Everything has been approved. It's been good expenditures. So still working on my school bucks. I'm working on that. We're working on getting the final. We have to get one final letter from the bank over to them, and so I'm working on that. As soon as we get that, we should be able to start moving forward with them. We also have another program called GoFan that we've started at the high school for gates and concessions. It's going to be a similar program, but you don't have to have an app. So that's going to be kind of a neat program that we're going to start as well. Our AD brought that to us, so we're going to start moving forward with that. Both systems should be clean and efficient. The ledger should be nice. It's all going to come in here. All the money's going to come to the district office, and we're going to collect it and disperse it from here. So make sure that that's clean and accountable and transparent. Had one PTAC meeting tonight. Started the process of trying to move forward with getting the PTAC off of our books, off the activity books. We have another one next Monday in the elementary school. President Chard was there. One of the suggestions he had was seeing if they wanted to possibly combine into one group, which I think is a great idea. So I'll bring that up Monday and talk to Galen's group and see what they think of that as well. We explained to them why we need to do it, and I don't think there was a whole lot of resistance to it. I just think it's figuring the process out, getting it done. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
There's going to be some. So up until the point they have their own 501c3, they'll have to abide by our procurement procedures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some transition. We'll just have to be patient and diligent on through that process.
Absolutely. A couple things here. CD40 report, we're still working on that. It's a major transportation report we submit to the state. Probably takes 30 or 40 hours to complete. I'm meeting with Joe and his group tomorrow to gather some information. I'm about halfway done with that. Little Beats program, we updated the numbers the other day. Right now, the estimated shortfall is $178,000 approximately. It was $215,000. There are some factors that could make it go up another $15,000 or $20,000 based on people's salaries adjusting and possibly needing benefits and that kind of thing. So we'll continue to bring back numbers every month on that. The NOCO Foundation, hopefully in the next month or so, we can move forward with a motion on that after the board decides if they would like to move forward with that, to become possibly the new fiduciary of the scholarship funds. So anyways, major upcoming projects, the 24-25 audit, that's scheduled right now for the 3rd week in October. I've talked to the auditor a few times. We're gonna meet beforehand and work on cleaning up outstanding issues and setting practices for future audits. Our goal this year is just to work through it and come up with a game plan for streamlining things that need be for the upcoming years. We're also gonna work on, Ms. Cody and I have also came up, we're also gonna start working on some salary schedules to bring back to you guys, to be more competitive and to improve and align things a lot better. Our computer system also requires us to be aligned a lot better than we are. We have to put salary schedules in our system, and right now it's kind of hodgepodge together, so we're gonna try to figure out a few things. And we also wanna make sure pay is in line with market rates, so we're gonna do some comparisons as well, some market comparisons. And then policy reviews. Ms. Redden and I are gonna start reviewing some policy and fiscal procedures to take to Ms. Cody with some findings and some updates to potentially bring to you guys in the future if there need be. We're super busy, but I think we're making improvements still. Just like every month, we're just asking for continued patience. We're hard to bring it up to as high standards as possible. So that's all I had, and thanks again.
Anyone have any questions? Next item of business, executive session. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
I, Lacey Garrett, move that the Board of Education go into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402, Section 4, Subsection B, CRS, for conferences with Attorney Steve Everall for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding the status of hail damage claims with Selective Insurance Company, the status of the school district's lawsuit against Rocky Mountain Construction Company, MDZ Roofing, and Greg Davis Court in Morgan County District Court, the recent receipt of a $50,374 invoice from Millig LLC, and consideration of a settlement from Matt Roan in a lawsuit against the school district in Morgan County District Court. Those present shall be members of the Board of Education. The board may also include Mrs. Marcia Cody, Mr. Steve Everall, Mr. Jamie Lorenzini, and Ms. Lacey Smith.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter executive session. Any debate?
Clarification, has RFQP process been removed from this executive session?
No, it's not. It's on this one.
Do you want to amend?
Would you mind amending your motion?
Yes.
I can make that bigger.
That's okay. I can get it up on mine too. Sorry, I read straight from the paper. Mr. President, I'd like to amend my motion to include one more piece for the executive session. We'll also discuss the RFQP process for architect, engineer, professional services for the roof replacement projects for Thompson Primary and Brush Secondary Schools.
Is there a second for amending the motion, main motion? Is there any debate? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye, motion passes. Now we need to vote on the main motion, which would be, I, Lacey Garrett, moved that the Board of Education go into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402, Section 4, Section B, CRS, for conferences with Attorney Steve Everall for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding the status of the hail damage claims of Selective Insurance Company, the status of the school district's lawsuit against Rocky Mountain Construction Company, MDZ Roofing, and Greg Davis Court in Morgan County District Court, the recent receipt of a $50,374 invoice from Millig LLC, consideration of a settlement offer from Matt Roan in a lawsuit against the school district in Morgan County District Court, and the RFQP process for architect, engineer, professional services for the roof replacement project for Thompson Primary and Brush Secondary Schools. Those present shall be members of the Board of Education. The board may also include Mrs. Marcia Cody, Mr. Steve Everall, Mr. Jamie Lorenzini, and Mrs. Lacey Smith. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini,
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer,
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. motion to leave executive session.
I'll make a motion. We leave executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to leave, for the Board of Education to leave executive session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Titlerini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer. Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Do you want to certify?
I, Stephen G. Everall, Esquire, hereby swear or affirm, whichever seems appropriate, that we talked about nothing but attorney-client information and communications in the executive session on various subjects outlined in the original motion.
Okay, the time is now 8:22 PM and the executive session is concluded, and we return to the open meeting. Participants in the executive session were Mrs. Lacey Garrett, Mrs. Brandy Hanson, Mr. Bryson Miller, Mr. Brad Mortensen, Mr. Sean Tadalini, Mr. Derek Winsheimer, Mr. Paul Chard, Mr. Steve Everall, Mrs. Marcia Cody, Mr. Jamie Lorenzini, and Mrs. Lacey Smith. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Hearing none, the executive session is concluded, and I will ask Lacey Garrett to report on the executive session.
The Board of Education went into executive session for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding our hail damage claims with Selective Insurance, the status of the school district's lawsuit against our Rocky Mountain Construction Company, MDZ Roofing, and Greg Davis Court in Morgan County District Court, the recent receipt of a $50,374 from Millig, invoice from Millig LLC, consideration of a settlement offer from Matt Roan in a lawsuit against the school district in Morgan County District Court, and the RFQP process for architect, engineer, professional services on the roof replacement projects for both Thompson Primary and Brush Secondary Schools.
Very good. If there are no objections, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Next item of business, superintendent's report.
All right, I will attempt to make this short. But there are a few things I want to highlight. First, in front of you are the governance team norms. If you will take a moment just to skim those. If we don't review them, then they don't have value or power for us to look at our actions and to make sure they align with our norms. So if you'll look at them, glance at them, and then star one that you want to just be extra mindful of in the coming month. So as you recall, these were norms that you created last June of 2024, I should say, not last June of 2024. And this represents your collective beliefs and how we want to do business together. And so one that always stands out to me is that increasing student outcomes, which is always our focus. That's our number one job. So just want to keep that at the forefront of our minds. The next piece is the board election process. Petitions are due August 29th. They're out now. I want to clarify with registered voters that you can sign up to 4 petitions. There was some misunderstandings, it sounds like, from some of our registered voters. They thought they could only sign 1. Please note and please pass along that you can sign up to 4 petitions because we have 4 open seats. The next piece is that President Chard needs to step down as CASB representative because of a scheduling conflict. So I'm hopeful that somebody may have the weekend of September 6th available to attend the CASB regional meeting. Is anybody available by chance at September 6th?
Sorry, I would say on Monday.
Everyone's busy. It is something that we can come back to in November with a reorganization meeting and make that decision as well if you choose to table that item tonight. The next board meetings you'll see are there in the superintendent's report. The next work session is on the 8th. Today we had the interviews for the architect, engineer, and professional services. It was 2 strong interviews, and we had 2 strong proposals, and appreciated both companies coming. This architect that we need to support and designed our TPS and BSC roofing projects, and to support that work, has some caveats in it because it is tied to our selective insurance claim. So we have to make sure that either proposal, either company is in alignment with the selective insurance requirements. And so prior to naming a company or companies, we could split, we could do one. I need to make sure that selective approves the proposals as they stand, approves the fees as they stand, and so there'll be more conversations. And I will make sure both companies know that we will not be able to name them by August 29th as originally stated, but I will be reporting back to the board at our next board meeting. And that we could have a special board meeting depending on how quickly we hear back from selective. Hopefully we'll hear back quickly, but that there could be a delay. Any questions on that? You also have as an action item Daikin maintenance agreement. This is a yearly agreement that happens and we've signed it before. This year we're having legal review every MOU and agreement, especially if it's multi-year. So there was a legal review. It went through several iterations. This is ready for your approval. Disposal of the greenhouse. The greenhouse was a project that a lot of people put thought and heart into it. After
taking this down, once we found out permitting would not allow it to move forward because of coding requirements, the updated to coding from, the greenhouse was purchased in 2021. The coding, when we first submitted the permit from 2024, changed some of the requirements, right, in those years. We then hired a construction engineer to figure out how do we address the code. The structural engineer, it was a lot of debate about how to do it, finally came up with a solution. However, that solution is over $200,000, and that doesn't include the cost of the foundation that you would need to enforce it with all the steel that would take it up to code. Therefore, I'm recommending to the Board of Education to dispose of the property, or of the materials to build those greenhouses. And remember, it's 2 greenhouses side by side. That property has been out in the elements. I want to be fully transparent. But we want to dispose of those greenhouses. It could be by auction. It could buy, if we have a buyer, that could happen too. So I'm asking for, to use my discretion in coordination with the Director of Maintenance, and we will get that done. There's a resolution in your agenda. Any questions on that one? I also want to say with that is that the foundations have been, and Mr. Lowry at Farmer State Bank has been very gracious in allowing us to craft a new proposal for the use of those foundation funds. So I'll be working on that. I'm already having conversations with principals and directors. I will bring that to your attention on September 8th during the work session for you to discuss. And then I told Mr. Lowry I would have it to him by mid-September. All right, Daniel's drainage project, because of the state budget impact, they are cutting their budget by the amount that we mentioned earlier. And we just don't know the impact on K-12 education. I'm recommending to the Board of Education to pause on moving forward with that Daniel's drainage project until we can allocate funds in the budget. Right? Just want to make sure that we have the funds to do that project. Also in your action items are the 25-26 bus routes and the Beaver Valley Elementary Drama Club. This is one that Ms. Pomeroy is suggesting. You'll see the proposal also in your agenda. Excited to have drama back at Beaver Valley Elementary. It was neat to see it last year with the Wizard of Oz and all the work that they did. To watch elementary students engaged in drama was absolutely wonderful. So I'm asking you to approve those stipends, lead director for $2,000, assistant director for $1,000. Also want to note that our secondary campus principal will be going on paternity leave starting the 20th. Mrs. Kimball and myself will be over at the secondary campus. Mr. Mahler will be the lead assistant principal. And then of course Ms. Horn and Mr. Felton will be there as well. We've had meetings to talk about logistics and who's on site when, who's doing evaluations, and making sure we assign all duties to someone. So that's been happening. I'll be back at the secondary campus for another meeting tomorrow. You heard me say that to Mr. Felton when he was here to introduce himself to you prior to the board meeting. And then my first day on site at the secondary campus will be this Wednesday. Ms. Kimball will be there on Thursday, and then we just have it split based on availability. But one of us, either Ms. Kimball or myself, are available throughout his paternity leave. He'll be gone for 3 weeks, and then right now the plan is for him to take half days for that 4th week. We are super excited for him and his family, and just wish them all the best.
I'm sure your team is on top of this, but I would just urge that we be very forthcoming with communication with parents and students on primary contacts for different things there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next piece, I just want to, you have the personnel report, you also see the committees. I'll skip through some things due to time. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll just pause for a second. Any questions on any of those other items all the way up to policy? The 2 policies that I'm introducing tonight to you are IKFE. This is an exhibit to your graduation requirement policy. This policy, this exhibit is required by law. It's the metrics. It's already in place. It's been in the handbook and in ICAP. Students have heard of these from everything I've heard. It's required to be in board policy. So you'll see the metrics there. They're similar to the metrics recommended. I was going to say required, but they're not required. Recommended by the state, by the Colorado Department of Education. You are required for any graduate from any high school in the state of Colorado must meet a metric in math and a metric in English language arts. And then again, at our next board meeting, regular board meeting, we can discuss IKFE. KDB is the public's right to know. The only change I'm suggesting at this moment to this policy is the cost per hour. You'll see that being increased for choral request. And that is $41.37 is allowed by statute. It's easy for people to shoot choral request emails, and so we're just wanting to put some guardrails there because it's hard when you get a bunch of choral requests and our employees are spending time responding to it. And it's usually like this template that comes through from different various political parties. And so we just, if they want to, then they need to submit some funding to pay for that employee's time. President Chard, that's all I have unless you have questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Communication might be needed Brush Secondary Campus with HVAC issues that are being resolved but are not yet. Starting to receive communication from parents, stakeholders, so something might just need to go out to let them know what's going on. The building's not normally that warm.
Correct. The HVAC went down today over at the secondary campus, and it was a hot day. We also have had troubles with elementary. It went down on Thursday, was fixed on Friday, went back down on Saturday, and was fixed today, rerouted today at the TPS, and then the secondary campus now went down. So it is a challenge, and yes, thank you.
Okay, next item of business, community comment. There is no community comment tonight. Next item of business, 9.1, CASB delegate representative. Is there a motion for 9.1? There is no motion for 9.1. Next item of business, 9.2, selection of architect, engineer services, professional services.
Having completed the RFQP process for architect, engineer services, professional services for the roof replacement projects on Thompson Primary School and Brush Secondary School, recognizing that the project will be paid for primarily with insurance funds, and having considered the recommendation of the selection committee, I move that the school district superintendent be directed to negotiate the terms and conditions of the contract for such services on both schools with both Amtech Solutions and Buildings by Design, and consult with selective insurance company and report back to the Board of Education by the next Board of Education meeting with a recommendation which contracts, if any, to approve and execute.
Second.
So moved and seconded that having completed the RFQP process for architect, engineer services, professional services for the roof replacement project on Thompson Primary School and Brush Secondary School, recognizing that the project will be paid for primarily with insurance funds, and having considered the recommendations of the selection committee, motion is that the school district superintendent be directed to negotiate the terms and conditions of the contract for such services on both schools with both Amtech Solutions and Buildings by Design, and consult with selective insurance company and report back to the Board of Education by the next Board of Education meeting with a recommendation of which contract or contracts, if any, to approve and execute. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.3, Daikin service agreements.
Move to approve the Daikin service agreements for Brush School District.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Daikin school, service agreements for Brush School District. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.4, greenhouse disposal. Mrs. Smith, would you mind reading that? Just out of sense of transparency, just read that resolution.
Yes. Disposition of surplus asset, greenhouse buildings and associated materials, whereas the Brush School District owns the materials for 2 attached greenhouse buildings and associated materials located at Brush High School no longer needed for instructional or operational purposes. Whereas the Board of Education deems the greenhouse buildings and materials to be surplus property and appropriate for disposition following notice to the public. Whereas the disposition will be conducted with oversight of district staff with all materials, buildings sold in their current as-is condition without warranty. Whereas the district will deposit all proceeds less associated costs into the general fund accordance with CRS 22-45-112. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Education of the Brush School District that 1, the materials for 2 attached greenhouse buildings and all associated materials are hereby declared surplus. Staff are authorized to conduct the sale in accordance with the policy and law with all greenhouse buildings and materials sold in their current as-is condition without any warranty expressed or implied. 3, the proceeds from the sale after deduction of cost shall be deposited into the board designated fund consistent with CRS 22-45-112. 4, staff shall report back to the board upon completion with the sale with details of offers received, sale price, costs, and net proceeds. 5, the resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you. Is there a motion for 9.4, greenhouse disposal?
I move to approve resolution 2025-04 for the disposition of surplus asset, greenhouse buildings and associated materials.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-04 for the disposition of surplus asset, greenhouse buildings and associated materials. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.5, settlement.
I move to approve the Roan settlement for $3,250.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Roan settlement for $3,250. Is there any debate?
I think this guy is gouging us, and I don't know how this directly affects him. He's not from here, is he? Is he from the state of Colorado? But he's not in our county, not in our school district. I don't see the validity in what he's doing, so.
Any other debate? Motion on the table is to approve the Roan settlement for $3,250. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
No.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.6. Beaver Valley Elementary Drama Club sponsor stipend.
I move to approve the Beaver Valley Drama Club stipend allocating $2,000 to the director and $1,000 to the assistant director.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the Beaver Valley Drama Club stipend allocating $2,000 to the director and $1,000 to the assistant director. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer,
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.7, 25-26 bus routes.
I move to approve the 25-26 bus routes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 25-26 bus routes as presented. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.8, personnel report.
Move to approve the personnel report as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel report as presented. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer,
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 10.1, work session on September 8th at 6 PM. That's a Monday. And then the next regular Board of Education meeting would be September 15th, also at 6 PM. Mrs. Cody, do you have any clarifications of anything that occurred during this meeting or any next steps that we need to mention?
I do not.
Does any other board members have any clarifications? Any board member hear anything during this meeting that you feel needs to be addressed in policy? Or any items that should be added to a future meeting? I want to ask the board, while we have this fresh in our mind, on when we present a resolution like this, because it's a lot more efficient way to present a large amount of text rather than having that in a huge motion. Resolution is more efficient. Are we good with thinking that we're transparent enough if we post that resolution on the public facing agenda and not reread the entire resolution during the meeting like we did tonight? Or do you feel like we need to read it during the meeting? And I'm just saying from a strictly just being completely transparent with the people in our community.
I think it's good to do both. I think there's a lot of people that'll tune into the meeting that don't necessarily get online to look at the agendas.
What if instead of that, we just announce that they can access it online?
I mean, I think either will suffice,
Okay,
but
because it adds a fair amount of,
2 minutes.
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, but
okay.
I defer to the chair on his preference.
Okay, no further business. Meeting is adjourned.
You roll me. I win, Brad.
That's a long executive
This
session.
isn't a one that you want to win.
Well, I took